So Junior, I know you got a really full schedule, and you're very active, and I want to be like you when I grow up. So man, I just want to say thank you for joining us and taking the time to tell us a little bit. Can you just tell us a quick Gene Ammons story before we get out of here?
Gene Ammons, I joined his band when I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah, I worked with Gene for a while, you know. And one thing about Gene, this is the two don't necessarily have a correlation, but Gene's father was one of my early heroes because when I started playing the piano, I played boogie woogie. Ah. This is long before I even took formal lessons, which didn't happen until I was 8 years old. But you know, my father let me keep
you waited
fooling.
until you were 8 years old?
Well, he waited because when he gave me the okay to play the piano.
Uh-huh.
What did I learn? Boogie woogie.
Boogie woogie. Man.
Well, see, in my family, my mother and father did like different things. My mother was deep into the blues. She loved the blues, which boogie woogie was the blues,
Right.
So they used to have this great threesome. Albert Hammonds, Mae Lux Lewis, and Pete Johnson in Chicago.
Oh, right.
You remember those days?
Yeah, right.
So Albert Hammonds was one of the people I listened to. This is long before Gene. Gene must have been just a few years older than I was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, But anyway, I joined Gene when I was 17 and went on the road. I dropped out of college to join his band.
Wow.
Yeah. And I stayed with him. And there was a period, though, when I was with Gene where the gigs slacked off a little bit. And the band broke up just for a bit. And that's when he joined Woody Herman's band. And Lester Young hired me, for 2 years.
Ah.
And then,
wow.
And Lester knew it was just going to be a 2-year hiatus for him because Norman Granz took some time off for some other project that he was doing. And so I stayed with Lester those 2 years, and Gene stayed with Woody those 2 years, and then we got back together again.
Incredible.
And then I stayed with Gene until I was drafted into the
2
Army.
years with Lester. Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been incredible, too.
It was. So
when are you going to write your book, Junior? Oh. Yeah, man. Wow, man. Unbelievable, man. What a great...
it was great working with him. Working with Lester.
Yeah.
You didn't realize he was the band leader. I mean, he was just that... flexible with everybody in the group. He treated the same.
So did you play here in New York with Lester then?
Yeah, we had a regular gig at the Savoy Ballroom on a small bandstand. That's when they had, you remember the Savoy Ballroom? It was like a block long, and they had 2 bandstands.
Right.
One where they had the big band and the other where they had the small band. And they used to, on the big bandstand, because it was a dance place, really, you'd have people like Buddy Johnson, Lucky Millender, and we played for dancing too, because Lester was, he was always played things at different dance tempos. He wasn't far out at all. Yeah, and so that was that for 2 years I played with
one of the greatest saxophone stylists of all times.
That's right. Yeah. One of the greatest persons of all times too.
So in all your travelings and broadcastings and everything, I'm sure you met my good old friend, my mentor in broadcasting. That was Al Jasbo Collins. Did you know
I met him? Yeah, I didn't know him that well personally, but I met him. Yeah.
When he was at WNEW.
Right. Yeah.
He took over from the Make Believe Ballroom.
Make Believe Ballroom.
Yeah.
I remember those days. Yeah. And then after Lester went back with Norman Granz on the Jazz Philharmonic tour. And Gene reformed his band, which I was only there for several months before I got drafted.
Ah, I see. So this was all before you were in the service?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that's when I met Cannonball.
Yeah, good luck that the Cannonball was in your platoon.
I'll tell you a story, if you got time.
Sure, we got time.
Cannonball I should owe it to him that I'm sitting here now. Because when I went to the Army at that time, they wouldn't let piano players in the band because they didn't play a marching instrument. Now, if they could play another instrument that you could march with. So when I tried to get into the band, I couldn't. So where did they put me? In the infantry. And I was slated to go to Korea. This is during the Korean War.
Right.
You know, so during basic training, you know, they have you doing everything that you're going to do when you go get in battle. Well, this was my night to do guard duty at Fort Knox, Kentucky. You know, that's where I was. And the post I was guarding was around this service club, you know, where the guys who weren't in the infantry and were going other places where they had time to hang out after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And during that time, you could wear civilian clothes because they couldn't consider the Korean War a war. Call it a police action, or whatever that means.
I see.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a war as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, right. Sure was. Yeah.
So anyway, in the Army, when you walk guard duty, you walk guard duty 2 hours, rest 1 hour, walk 2, rest 1, you know, till your tour of duty is up for that, which usually takes you almost 24 hours during the night. So while I'm walking around this post, I hear this fantastic music. It's a big band. And I kept listening. I said, wow, they got some fantastic records in there. I'm going to take, during my break, I'm going in and listen to some records. So I did. I laid my rifle down when the hour was up and I walked in. And the band was live. Wow. Cannonball was leading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and so I'm the only one in there that's in uniform, but the uniform was I had my steel helmet, my cartridge belt, combat boots, and people were looking at me, who is that? Oh, not who is that, what is that? You know? So I just ran up to the bandstand, man, and I was listening and listening. And something I never did, I never asked to sit in, I always waited to be invited to sit in.
Right.
So I just blurted out. Cannonball was leading the band, and I said, hey man, can I sit in a tune? And he looked at me, and Cannonball, before he could speak, the guy playing piano was a clarinet player who knew how to comp, you know, and play with the band. Well, he said right away before anybody could answer, yeah man, come on. And he reached down off the stage and pulled me up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice
And he
guy.
disappeared.
Wow.
Well, the reason he did that, he didn't want to be there that night because he had been trying to get a date with a certain girl in Louisville, Kentucky, and she kept saying no, and she finally said yes, and what happens? He stuck with this gig.
Wow.
So then that was their last set of the night anyway.
Uh-huh.
So he just disappeared, and I'm sitting there at the piano, and guys are looking at me, they're whispering like, what is that? And again, not who is it, what is that? You know, and then I happen to do like that. Oh my God, I took my steel helmet off, put it on the floor. So Cannonball, being the nice guy that he was, said, all right man, what do you want to play? So I said, well, play something that's in your book. And I kind of threw him a little bit, because only a musician would say something like that.
Right.
You know. But he wasn't taking any chances yet. He told the guys to pull up. I can't remember the name of this tune, but it was a bassy tune with blues changes, with a nice rhythm to it, you know, just medium bass. So I unfolded the piano sheet, you know, and looked, and so after the head, you know, after the first 2 choruses, the band was playing, you know, then the piano, it's a piano solo, 2 choruses. It was one of those tunes, you know, the band is shouting, then Basie does his chime, you know.
Right.
But I didn't know it was a Basie tune either. And it's because I just stretched out and I played 2 choruses.